this needs to be explained more objectively. For some problems to be well understood, it is necessary to intuit the time reality as powerfully as possible. To make it easier, we will explain the topic of time with diagrams and graphics. We call simple time, which is subject to the understanding of three dimensions, superficial time. 4. The flow of this time, as shown in Figure 2, advances in one direction like a spiral circles drawn upon a surface. Let us point out that this diagram is simply a graphic, drawn to explain the concept of time and to ensure the objective comprehension of simple time. As seen in the diagram, superficial time does not advance in a straight line. Around a point of a long line, upon a surface that is vertical to that line, it revolves spirally by cycles. In this diagram, there is a surface O, P, S, R, where a straight line, Z, Zn, pierces it vertically at a point, A. This surface is exactly vertical to the line, Z, Zn. And upon this surface, there is a spiral drawn, starting from the point, A. As this spiral is drawn, because it advances vertically to the line, Z, Zn, no matter how long this spiral is, it does not travel any distance on the line, Z, Zn, but merely draws cycles around the point, A. So, this is the progress of the superficial time comprehension. And the line, Z, Zn, is the original time, which encompasses universe. And let us point that, this original time is not the spherical time particular to the higher cosmos, which we will mention later. This is the manifestation of the superuniverse time principle in universe, which encompasses all realities of time, and traverses throughout our universe. We do not talk about it for now. Upon the progress of this spiral, let us define point A as the moment a man is born, and point F as the moment he dies. Let us take one of his states, which continues its development from his birth to his death, let's say, a capability of him. As seen in the diagram, as this capability goes from point A to point F, it has passed through each of the spiral circles that came along from points B, C, D, E, F. As seen clearly in the diagram, each of these points constitutes a period on the flow of the spiral. For example, a circle is completed between A and B. However, following at once, there is a second and wider circle, B, C, and a third circle, C, D, follows it. In this way, circles run after each other, getting wider until the final circle, E, F. And each of these constitutes a period, that is, cycles apiece throughout the lifetime. And these periods come after another, by following an order. Here, the concept of past period, present period, and future period exist as fundamental, and this is an imperative of the superficial time comprehension. In life, some capabilities have continued to develop as this line, A, F. However, all capabilities do not. For example, as seen in the diagram, the development of capability A, J, has continued for 4 periods of life and stopped there. Likewise, development of the capability A, M, has been shorter and continued only for 3 periods. There are shorter developments of capabilities as well, for example, only for 1 period. Therefore, in the life of a man, all of his capabilities do not develop to the same degree. Now, we will explain sublime time comprehension. Although we will talk about it on the diagram as well, in order to intuit as much as possible, such a comprehension which does not exist in the world, intuition should be forced while studying the diagram. Here, imagination should be used and the concepts intended to be explained should be tried to intuit by visualization, And if contemplated with patience, very precious intuitions will be gained. We call the sublime time comprehension, spherical time comprehension, or perceptual time. Sublime time comprehension is not a simple system, unlike the previous one, which revolves upon a surface as spirals in one direction. This is a time complex, which advances by flowing in all directions within the whole of a sphere. Here, the concept of time flow in question has infinite directions advancing from the source of the sphere towards each of the infinite points of the circle, an infinite scope which is in accordance with these directions. Figure 3 is the cross-section of a sphere. That is, it is like a cut half seen after a solid sphere, for example, a ball, is cut in two equal halves with a knife cutting through its center, and as seen in the diagram, this is only a surface consisting a circle. The line OA is the radius of this circle. Now, upon this surface, it is possible and natural that a superficial time flow comprehension exists as spirals revolving around the former O center. Therefore, on one cross-section of this ball, there is a superficial time comprehension. This is a value sufficient to contain all realities of a man's life in the world. However, this cross-section should be imagined not on the ball or on paper, but in the imagination. Without changing its position, other cross-sections can be made from other parts of the ball, providing it always crosses from the center. And in this way, infinite imaginary cross-sections can be obtained. We can divide this ball in two halves from separate directions as much as we can, depending on how sharp our knife is, how perfect our technique is, and how wide our imagination is. In the meantime, because the position of the ball will stay fixed, directions of spirals displaying the simple time upon these infinite surfaces do not fit each other, and superficial time spirals in infinite directions occur. So, within a sphere, there are, we could say in almost infinite numbers, distinct possibilities of superficial time. And the moment we join all these distinct time comprehensions, and imagine connecting them into a single occurrence, we may then visualize spherical time comprehension. We also call it perceptual time for short. If a man who lives in the world can use his comprehension at a moment in time's progress upon only one surface, a being that lives in a superworld plan can use its comprehension, which is almost the infinite multitude of this comprehension, at the same moment in perceptual time. This situation, naturally, can only be intuited in the world by visualization. This knowledge teaches that perceptual time has a richer scope which cannot be compared with superficial time. According to this, with superficial time comprehension, a man can only move in one direction at a given moment. 4. He has to follow a single sequence within the concepts of past, present and future, as obeying the imperatives of superficial time with all of his comprehension, acts and behaviors. And he will certainly participate in the sequenced periods of a spiral. 4. His material state is not suitable for his getting out of it. However, a being obeying perceptual time has the possibility of living the concepts of past, present and future in infinite directions at the same moment, by joining them into a single occurrence. 4. The subtle matter milieu which it exists in, permits it to live upon all surfaces of a sphere at the same moment. In order to conclude the knowledge about the superficial and perceptual time, we need to explain these two time comprehensions, by comparing them relative to the original time in universe. We will give this knowledge upon diagrams as well. In Figure 4, the line A, B, is the original time which traverses universe. The drawing A shows the flow of superficial time on original time, and the drawing B shows spherical time. Superficial time, as seen in the drawing, revolves around a point, X, of the flow of the original time, and draws a spiral with its periods. Regardless of the numbers of periods, this spiral does not abandon the point, x, on the original time. It extends while it remains at its place. Therefore, in the time reality A, which shows the duration of a lifetime, there is no advance and flow on the original time. However, there is the application of the realities of a single point, x, on original time, and as we have shown in the previous diagrams, this can continue at a few or all periods of superficial time. On the other hand, when the drawing, B, is studied, the cross-section of three concentric circles are seen, indicated by the numbers 1, 2, and 3. These spheres should not be considered three separate circles within each other. This shows the three stages of the first sphere's growth, that is, the smallest one at the center, by expanding in all directions. 4. The development of the spherical time occurs not in the form of a spirals extending and contracting in one direction upon a surface, but of the sphere's growth, that is, expanding from its center towards all directions at the same time. For example, here, the sphere numbered 1 shows a stage of its smallest states. The sphere numbered 2 is one of its further, widened stages, and the sphere numbered 3 is its widest stage. So, perceptual time develops in this way. When this development is compared to superficial time on the flow of original time, A, B, it is seen here that, while perceptual time, that is, spherical time, as has been in the state of the first sphere, takes the part, C, D, on the flow of original time into its scope. When this sphere takes its size numbered 2, as its comprehension develops, advances on the flow of original time and occupies the part, E, F, when it gets wider and enters the state of the sphere numbered 3, it traverses the part, G, H, on the flow of original time. Therefore, although the development of superficial time comprehension does not progress at all, and remains at one point on the flow of original time, each developmental moment of spherical time comprehension is together with the advance on the flow of original time. Because of this, the real evolution starts from the superworld plan of duty, where perceptual time prevails. Indeed, millions times of a result which could hardly be attained by spending enormous efforts as a necessity of world life can be attained in exchange for the smallest effort in the superworld realms.